Hello, and welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Eiderstein. Thank y'all for joining me again today for June 9th reading from James Allen's Daily Meditations. It's been a really great um, set of readings so far for June. Really enjoyed them, really been um, uh, really got me thinking so far this year. I'll tell you that much. So or for this month, excuse me. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the ninth brings us. And of course, this will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning this will be the first time that I see it or hear it right here on the podcast with you. So here we go. You'll get my genuine response, reactions, observations, what I relate to about the reading, obviously. Um, so here we go. Here's June 9th's reading from James Allen's Daily Meditations. He becomes the master of the lower by enlisting in the service of the higher. Man repeats the same thoughts, the same actions, the same experiences over and over again until they are incorporated with his being, until they are built into his character as part of himself. Evolution is a mental accumulation. Man today is the result of millions of repetitious thoughts and acts. He is an accumulation of thoughts and deeds. The characteristics which he manifests instinctively and without effort are lines of thought and action become, by long repetition, automatic. For it is the nature of habit to become, at last, unconscious, to repeat, as it were, itself without any apparent choice or effort on the part of its possessor. And in due time, it takes such complete possession of the individual as to appear to render his will powerless to counteract. Habit is repetition. Faculty is fixed habit. That's really cool. I really I like this because I think it's been my experience that for the longest time, I really thought that the phrase "that's just how I am" always came falling out of my mouth, whether it was because of my attitude, whether it was because of my insecurities, my fears, whatever it turned out to be. I just thought that's how I was. And what we're talking about here is that everything about our character is a result of thoughts and actions, and those things become habit and then establish our character. So we believe it's just who we are, part of us. But the reality is, it all can be changed. We can all become a different person or change our character. That's a pretty encouraging thing for a guy like me, because before I accepted that or knew about that more so, I thought I was resigned to being the individual that I was: hopeless, despairing, drug addicted alcoholic. That's a pretty bleak outlook on life. But when I came into recovery, when I came into sobriety, people told me I could be different. I didn't have to live that way, but I was resigned to the fact that that's just how I was, and that there was no other way for me to live. But because of this reading today, not because of this reading, but because of the substance that's in this reading, I was able to break those habits. I was able to do something different. And so it's just a great reading. It's one that resonates deeply with me, because everything you want to change, you can change. And except except for the fact that we are creatures of habit, right? That's what we talked about yesterday. We are creatures of habit. Do we change? Now we can't change that. because that's human nature. But we can change our habits, though, right? That's what I ended with yesterday. That's what we were talking about at the end yesterday. We are creatures of habit, but we can change our habits. So let's go ahead and we'll get this started again. He becomes the master of the lower by enlisting in the service of the higher, right? When we use our actions to serve ourselves, we get in these self-destructive moves, modes of being, um, with character and action, with thought and action, indeed. So we start thinking things to serve ourselves, and then we start taking actions that serve ourselves, and doing that long enough leads to a place of insanity, um, depression, anxiety, fear riddled anxiety, and desperation and despair. So it doesn't work well. But everything that we were aiming for when we were serving ourselves actually comes from serving something greater than yourself, whether it's a God, whether it's society, whether it's your support network. When you serve those things, when you serve the source or nature or whatever it might be, you will find fulfillment in that, right? And you'll find these terrible habits you've developed of self-centeredness. And for myself, like I said, it was drug addiction, alcoholism, a whole lot of terrible relational issues, all of these things. Those things drop away, those things mend, those things change because your living changes, because you're in service to something higher. We have that ideal we're striving towards, right? In the service of something higher. We want to be honest. We want to do something differently. When we want to live our lives differently, we can't just stop living the way we used to live. We have to choose to live a different way of life. We have to replace it. I don't, if I don't want to lie anymore, I can't tell myself stop lying. I have to tell myself, tell the truth. I have to tell myself, be honest. That's how I stop lying. And be honest because it's the right thing to do. Don't be honest because it serves myself. Practice doing the right things, not serving yourself. So, great opening line on this one. Um, Man repeats the same thoughts, the same actions, the same experiences over and over again until they are incorporated with his being, until they are built into his character as a part of himself. I- how many people have said, I keep dating the same person just for different faces and names, right? You attract the same personalities. Or I keep moving from place to place and I find the same people, or I start working for the same companies, right? Like, um, or people treat me a certain type of way. People say I'm this type of personality. And we find we have entrenched ourselves in a way of being in this character we've developed for the world that we don't believe. We blame the world and we trying to find a place for where this character fits. But the reality is the world tells us we need to change. And we keep running from that. At least I did. That was my experience. I kept running, trying to find a place where my character could belong. But the reality is it didn't. It didn't. Man repeats the same thoughts, the same actions, the same experiences over and over again until they are incorporated with his being, until they are built into his character as a part of himself. Right? So we have these habits, we have these ways of being, we have these old processes that we still bring into our lives. Evolution is mental accumulation. I like that. It's a mental game, it's a mental thinking game, right? Like if we want to change our habits and if we want to grow as a person, develop as a person, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, right? We have to change how we think. Mental accumulation. We have to get we have to gather information and we have to be open to learning and trying something different to change the way we are living. If you want different results, you're going to have to take different actions. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same outcome. The characteristics which he manifests instinctively and without effort are lines of thought and action become, by long repetition, automatic. Right? That's why we get these predictable characteristics of our person of our character. Right? And we believe that they're just who we are because they're automatic. That's just how we react. I get angry when someone does this. I am sad when someone insults me in this way or talks about this. I get um, uh, emotionally invested in this world problem, right? Now it's an automatic response. So we just think that's what we care about. We just think that's how we are. It's built into our nature. But those points of character, that's not true. See, like it's become an automatic reaction. It's become an automatic response because we have practiced it so much. Right? At one point that was chosen, and it was chosen repeatedly. And eventually we made this pathway, right? That this happens, this is the reaction. And that we made it an automatic thing for us for one reason or another. But that's good news because if we established it, we can change it. If we instituted it, we can change it. There's power there. For it is the nature of habit to become at last unconscious, to repeat it as it were itself without any apparent choice or effort on the part of its possessor. Exactly. A lot of these, like you'll hear it talk about in the psychological world or other spiritual um, realms, that it's a bad coping skill, and some of these are. I believe that some of these, when we were young, we built in these reactions to protect ourselves: the lying, the deception, the stuffing of our emotions, the fear, right? The desire to be accepted, so the false presentation of a person. So these things become automatic because they served us in some way. But that doesn't mean we have to hold on to them. This last sentence, the way he worded it, I think is very important. And in due time, it takes such complete possession of the individual as to appear, keyword here, to render his will powerless to counteract it. See, this is the important thing. It appear powerless. Right. Let me read the whole thing again. And in due time, it takes such a complete possession of the individual as to appear to render his will powerless to counteract it. Because, I mean, we've instituted it, we've put it there, but we can change it. But we can't change most of the time. It's been my experience that I can't change something without reason, without cause. It has a lot of the times it's pain that causes me to say I need to change that, but not always. Um, Sometimes I just have a desire to serve something greater, right? So I'll lie until I want to be honest for something other than myself, something greater than myself, a power greater than myself. The ideal I'm striving for is an honest man and a good man. So I do that to walk forward in my path, in my life, on the narrowing path, in the spiritual walk. That is why I want to be honest, not because it serves me better, but it's the right thing to do. I have a desire to live a righteous life, a Christ like life, a good life, a life serving goodness. That is why I want to be that way. So, like, the opening line, I'm enlisting myself to the service of something greater than me, something higher. And then I can change those habits. And then my willpower has strength because it's not serving me anymore, serving something else. He closes it with this: habit is repetition, faculty is fixed habit. So everything about how we behave, react, and interact with people in our environment can be changed. Our associations can be changed, our attachments can be changed. I'm living proof of that. And there's many people that have changed their lives completely that are living proof of that. And you can start today. That's the coolest thing, as I've talked about so many times on this podcast. This can start today for you. It's an amazing thing. So, well, that's going to be it for tonight. Thank y'all for joining me again for another fantastic reading from James Allen. We're going to see where the rest of June brings us, and we'll continue to walk down this path for this year. We're approaching halfway at the end of June, and that's amazing. And there's been so many things that just doing this on a daily basis has brought me. And so I appreciate the opportunity to um, be a part of this, and for all those that listen and tune in and binge listen to episodes, I appreciate it. And I'll be back again tomorrow for June 10th. So until next time, thanks.